Welcome to this evening's talk. I labeled this about color and the awareness of color and its abilities that we have to count on in life, but it's quite a bit more than that. So I want to start out by saying this is a great time to be alive. Now, I bet you didn't think I was going to say that because this is the opportunity for the greatest soul growth that we can possibly have on the planet today. We have come through so many incarnations with so much training behind us in so many places for many light souls that we're back to support the changing times that are here, to support the light. And we're able to tweak everything that we need to tweak in our lives and meeting our obstacles and looking at life in a way that's going to be helpful to people. So it is a great time to be alive and to be a contributor at this time. So just think of all the you may have even met in your life some of the challenges that you've had in the past that have resurfaced. And I think there would be a reason for that to happen because it was probably an example, somebody watching you overcoming to be able to do something similar. So we're going to go with that anyway. But your a spiritual advancement is so wonderful in the opportunities that are given that we have to realize that faith is our saving grace. It's what saves everyone. Faith in God, faith in yourself, and faith in your country. You've got to be aware that that is important today because this is the place where you came to gather, the place dedicated to freedom. We need to be clearly behind God, self, and country because country does include all the rest of us. We are here for each other. So the other thing I want to tell you is those who may see this later, I think it's important that you read the book of Revelations in the Bible. If you haven't read any of the Bible lately or haven't ever read it, it would be very helpful. Now, the book of Revelations was given in symbols, of course, in symbolic terms. So you have these, what I thought when I was a child, very weird things that were put in there, but it's all symbolic. It's extraordinarily applicable to what we're going through today. And because we can't always read the symbols, our soul knows exactly what those symbols mean. That level of ourself that is tuned into all of this is quite aware of it. And our inner world, then knowing that we are looking at that again and looking at the Bible and these and helping ourselves by rereading it, or at least by reading this part, there is supposed to be a blessing that goes with reading the book of Revelations. So we want the blessing. We want to remind our soul that we're here to help. And whatever we can get spiritually out of reading that book, I'll encourage you to do it. And don't worry about you not being able to really interpret things. Because we're in a time where this is all, the old is going, the new is coming in, and the old world is not being supported by light. Anything that was of the old world that was detrimental to spiritual understanding and growth is not being supported. So it's so important that we realize that now the new term that we are in, or the new leanings that we're going into, we need to be participating in the new. All of us who are of light, you are to participate only in that energy that you know will support the new world. So the old world, as Michelle said, was survival of the spirit, of the physically fit. That was necessary way back when humanity had to keep recreating itself so that it would stay on the planet. There would be bodies here for souls to enter. But this now it's a time of a different time. We are in the time of The survival of the spiritually fit is the new world here. And so that we meeting our spiritual obligations, meeting our spiritual challenges at the highest level that we can are so important that we not only gain for ourselves, but that we help clear the field by being the light. The light will always push up. Remember, the darkness has no power unless we give it power. So the light is always in charge. The light of God never fails. If you know that prayer and you say that prayer, believe that. It's very important that people get into the understanding that what you know spiritually at a higher level is pertinent and is very powerful. Now, I know that we talked about it before I came on here with the people here at the who are gathered, but there are so many people going through health issues right now. And I'm quite aware of that, and some of it minor, but a lot, and some of it more severe. But what I have been given is to understand is that balance is the key to health. And interesting, it's the key to health on the physical, and it's the key to health in the spiritual. So balance is a word that needs to be understood by people. And one of the reasons I'm talking about color is talking about balance in color. So, but the greatest balancer for every single person is your view of life and your perspective on life. That is the first place to look within your own system to see how are you viewing everything. What do you see in life? What do you believe of life? Because what that will frame everything for you. And it does not help the physical form to have that constant worry and stress and the kinds of things that come from a distorted view. So why am I saying that that's distorted? Because we must have faith in God, in Christ. And those things are being challenged today. And if that's worldwide, it isn't just locally or in this country, it's worldwide. And everyone is being given the opportunity to make good choices when it comes to being assaulted by the fear. And some people are actually physically assaulted, of course, that violence is the dark side, is something that we are clearing, and that we cannot support it, that it grows in any way, shape, or form, because humanity is given the choice. We always have free will here. We have choice. How do you respond? Which side are you going to go on? Which side are you going to believe? This is important that we gather the balance within ourselves, that we go within ourselves, and that we maintain our highest value structure and look at life from that standpoint. Because love and freedom is what we hold in our highest value, then we need to support that in every way possible. It does not mean you're not going to resist some things that are coming at you, but you're going to take your attention and put it where it needs to go in order to have that overcome. Realizing that the Christ is handling this change in times. And we need to stay very tuned in, very tuned to Christ. So Christ is there for us. We can count on that. And we can count on when we maintain, in spite of all the obstacles and in face of what seems to be ridiculous, assaulting and everything else, when we can maintain our faith in God, our faith in Christ, and our ability to hold to that, there will be many rewards that will come from that. Because we are needed by the light that is flooding this world as the grounding mechanism for them to do their work. And we aren't out there in the field, doing actual political and whatever else is going on in business necessarily. But we are grounding boots here on the ground. We are the grounding rods through which they are working. We would not be here if if it wasn't necessary, we wouldn't need to be here. We did in some manner, shape, or form when we were in spirit before we came here, we did sign up for this. And we know that we are capable. We know that all of the training from all the lifetimes has prepared us for this time to be the light, part of the light forces that will change the world back into a place of God-centered, Christ-centered, cooperative, loving people who will advance amazingly using that kind of ability within themselves and that kind of interaction among themselves. So we've been given the gifts coming into the world. We have our strengths to depend on. We are not without our strengths. Each person has particular strengths geared for their particular life, because not all of us are meeting all of the challenges that everybody else is meeting. We're meeting our own particular ones, so that we're geared for overcoming. And interesting that we are been made quite aware of by many people along the past decade or so, that people are more aware that the veil between the worlds is thinning, and that the inherent gift of intuition is starting to manifest more and more. Many people have had what we used to call, and years ago, paranormal experiences. They are experiencing interdimensional communications. And these dimensional communications happen because we are now becoming more sensitive and that to everything. And as we develop spiritually, that gift will be given to us safely, and that we can proceed in life using the gift in ways that we're going to be very helpful, not only for ourselves and our families, but for humanity at large. So it's important that the gifts that we have been given, including, by the way, discernment. Discernment is a huge gift today that needs to be prayed for, that needs to be installed in everyone, because discerning spirit is a huge deal, because you need to know what is of good and what is not of good, what is not of light coming at you, what is shining at you, showing you some shiny thing and saying, here, buy this, when you have to sense what's behind it. Is God behind it or not? And that choice that we make we need to be able to go within and say, how do we feel about this? What am I sensing? Should I buy into this idea or this newscast or this portrayal over here or there, whatever's going on? We must get more discernment into the world. And that will give us the truth that we need to operate on with our intuition and our gift of discernment, that we stay lovingly in line with the Christ principles and operate on the understanding that every soul who was placed here in the planet, who comes in by God design, is free. Freedom is a gift of God. It is anything that restricts people's creativity and ability to express themselves in a positive way is not to be supported. Anything restrictive that would be against somebody's good contributions. Anybody who restricts your free will choice is not a good thing to do either. Because through our choices, we learn. And if you're not given the opportunity to choose, you're not being given the opportunity to learn. And some things are very basic that people have to learn. If you take that away, they learn nothing in that lifetime. Of course, those who are responsible for them are then become, of course, they have that on their conscience and in their karma to deal with. But can't go there because I don't even know what that means. When it comes to people who do such damage to other people, I have no idea. And I put that in the hands of God, and that's very well dealt with on other levels. So the differences between, what they say, we are all one. We are all one. Understand that we are all one at a higher level. We're not all one in this planet for our thinking and our feelings and our behaviors and all of that. That is not where we are all one. So I'm just going to put up my little chart here that I love to point to. And wait a minute, share. It's just this same chart I put up all the time because it has to do with this is how, now we are all like this. We are all structured like this. There is no human being that is not structured like this way. This is our spiritual structure. And really where we are all one is at the very pinnacle of that, at the I am presence. The pureness of who we were when we were first created by the great creator of all. We are exact images of the supreme Godhead, exact at that level. And yet we know that we are individuals. That's kind of interesting. We will never lose the individuality of our knowledge that we are. But that at that level, we are all pure and we are all aligned with God without anything else involved. So that lives within, that is us at that very high level. And that is definitely where we are all one. Now, when you come down, where are we? At the bottom of the pile there, that's us in our human form, looking to go up to the Christ consciousness. Christ is a universal consciousness, and it holds all those great higher values and the things that you think are the perfection that usually come in from the Holy Spirit. It's all there in the Christ. This is what we're rising to now as a human body. We're given this opportunity. We're given this this is why I'm saying this is a great opportunity to express as much of the Christ consciousness as we can possibly do in this lifetime. The leap there that people are now being given the opportunity to make, the way Jesus made the leap. He came in as a regular person with the instructions and all, and he behaved according to the higher principles involved in Christ, and then went to that consciousness and never turned back. One of the things that is interesting in my understanding is when you go up, you just go. It's like you're driving down the road and you want to go into this wonderful place. You make a sudden right turn and you let everything else go. You let it go. You don't revisit it. See, it's our revisiting things that makes the problem for us. So you want to take that turn and go into the light and in your behaviors, you want to acknowledge it. And this is the way you say your affirmations with the understanding that you are the light. You are part of this great creation of perfection. I am. So there are affirmations that are called the affirmations of Jesus that have claimed all of that. I am the light of the world. All of the I am claims are to be taken seriously within us. And you don't go back and say, but you stay on that and you do the best you can to be that you can be while you're in the human form. It's very different in the human form than when we get into spirit, of course, because the human part of us always has this question, or they want to talk about something else, or you want to compare, or you want to do something. You don't do that when you go into spirit, you know. So we're trying to get to the place where we know we are one with God. We are one with Christ. And that's so important that, but humans have to do the work of getting there. And this is one of the opportunities that we have, that the whole world is being given in this many issues and difficulties. We are given the opportunity to make the right choices to go there. Because at some level, people do know where the target is. At some level, even if it's buried very deeply. Unfortunately, some of it's buried so deeply, it's difficult for them to see anything different than what they're doing right now. So we pray that the light will break through and that we must hold our own light without dropping in vibration or frequency, I should say. So we are allowing the light of God to flow through us every day. So when these differences occur, we have to pray for that difference, that this is going to be, it's placed in God's hands. You don't know why something comes in your life. You place it and you do the best you can. And you know that God is in charge, and you know you let the result go there. When you see things outside of yourself, you have to realize that we're not seeing reality necessarily. We're Everyone has a contract coming in to be here for their own reasons. And so when we get our judging view of what's going on in life, we have to be careful, because most of what we're seeing is an illusion or a delusion. And it's being manifested by other people's erroneous beliefs. And what's really present is the light of God and the perfection of everything that God is putting in place. So we have to see more of the light now in the world and be more of the light in the world. So prayer and meditation, increasing meditations are, I think, is so important for people to get into. They need to go into your inner world. You need to go for as much intuitive, guided imageries and things that you have within yourself that will lead you to your own perfect guidance coming through. Now, there have been traditions all the way through time. There were temples and ashrams and all other kind of church things that were set up to help people to go within, to help people to claim their higher self, to go to the Christ and be the example in their time. And intuition was highly developed in many cultures in the past. Um, when you look at, there are so many cultures, but I'm going to go back to Egypt. You know, all of the priests and priestesses that were developed there, and the different temples that were set up for the development of the spiritual self. If you remember the Eye of Horus and its drawing around an eye, it was always relating to the pineal gland, about the intuition. That was always something that was important, that was developed in people. When we were in Egypt, I went into that little chamber, that deep chamber. I don't even know how they got a cave there. And we went into this cave, and it was completely black, and you can hardly see the person in front of you as you went in. You went into this chamber or room, and it had the one hole in the ceiling, and there was a perfect circle of brilliant light that would come through there from the sun. And when you sat in there, it just came right down on top of your crown chakra. And everybody had a chance to sit there. And sitting there, it was like going back to it was amazing. It was an amazing, amazing, enlightening time when you realize that that's a kind of development that was done for us then, to try to wake us up and to focus our light coming into the crown chakra so that we could experience only that. Um, but that was part of the Temple Beautiful, where all of those things were developed. And one of the great lessons in the temple that was being taught was the use of color. So I'm coming back to the point that I started with in the beginning about color. Um, Color is multidimensional, and the Temple Beautiful could teach that art and science. Dottie Mella, who is Michelle Lusson, our founder's twin, identical twin, was very keyed into color and used color as her method of expressing her intuition in the world. And she did such a magnificent job of this because she really was quite tuned in and psychic herself in a very different way than her twin was. So, one thing I have come to understand that Dottie's language of color, the book, The Language of Color, let me stop sharing here and just show you the book. The Language of Color is an amazing understanding of the meaning that color inherently has within it. Now, there have been many schools of color that have come out since then. I can't tell you how many after Dottie's book, and of course, there were people before her who were very tuned into color and had their way of relating to what each color meant. You know, societies gave color certain attributes, but maybe the Egyptians did. I'm not sure what exactly they would have assigned to each color, but Dottie was able to pull this in, and being connected, completely connected to her twin sister who was a trance medium. You can be sure that this information, believe me, is accurate. Believe me. So that her understanding is that each color has she called it a psychological effect. But my understanding, I'm gonna step out on a limb here and say that color has more than just a psychological understanding. I think color has a reality. I believe that color is interdimensional. When it gets here on the planet, it's more on it forms itself more on the electromagnetic end of things. But I am very clear that everything can be read on two levels. Now, I don't think there's anything that we cannot read as a physical phenomena and as a spiritual understanding of what's behind it, what drives it. So color, as I'm going to, as I said, not follow Dottie's book exactly, but my more intuitive understanding is that color has a higher dimensional meaning as well. So I think they correspond. And I think it's very well if people would understand that Dottie's information, you can read it on other levels. But she brought it in for the human form, for how do you help yourself when you're here and you're going through all of these different things? Because color is a powerful tool. Color has, like everything else, it's not different. It has its energetic form in the form of frequency. Absolutely everything is and can be and is frequency, no matter what we're dealing with. And the frequency of color carries with it certain potency that goes with it. And the potency, I believe, is also the message. If we have her understanding that meaning is assigned, there's a language, you can read something about this color and you know what quality is going on. That's a reality. I just did something recently about orange because orange is a very dynamic, very positive, very building kind of energy around it. Michelle said the interesting thing is she said, this is the thing that behind orange is a lot of courage. She said, unfortunately, there was a book called The Red Badge of Courage. She said it should have been called The Orange Badge of Courage. She said, orange is the color of courage. Orange is the color of building and being positive and not, just going on with life and doing the right positive things in life. It is the color of the engineer and the builder and the architect. So people who have that kind of drive really have that color orange going for them. And if you take the meaning of the different colors, you can apply it in your life. If you need more energy around constructive or organizational things, you would want to work with the color orange in your life. And it goes on through all of the colors that she portrayed in her book. When we get to talk about color very often spiritually, we limit ourselves to seven, 7 colors of the rainbow, seven. And Dottie has 21 colors in her book. The nuances of color mean something. So it's an amazing tool to use. If you would, I'm going to just recommend her book. It's really difficult to give the color test to a group of people who aren't present. It's very difficult even to give it to a group, but it can be done. I've done it in the past in a gathering. But it's a wonderful one-on-one tool to counsel people, to help them understand themselves better, and to be able, through your intuition and your alignment with the color, you can then help them. And you can use the intuitive part of yourself, like Dottie did, even predict things for them in the future because of their choices and the kind of how the configurations of how they're using the color in their testing. So it's a very powerful tool, and one that I believe that if we would understand that color has dimensional meaning, when we go into spirit, it lightens. Of course, everything lightens. You're going up in vibration, you're going up in dimensions, you're going up in frequency. It's going to have a different frequency to it, because we will have a different frequency manifesting all the time. So they're paler, they have a more vibrant, and there are more colors. We don't have all the colors here in the world that exist. And as I would assume from the pattern that we've been living, is a pattern that we will continue to see for quite a while, is that there are more colors as we go dimensionally upward in our evolution of our spiritual self. We're always seeking to go up dimensionally into the next dimension. This will be throughout eternity. No stop. So as we are doing our work now, going to the fifth dimension, going to the Christ consciousness, it's a place to arrive at, and it's a place that we will be living in for a while, I would think, in spirit, but we will always be looking to go into the next many, 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 as well, the dimensions do not end. We will always be looking to go onward and upward. So color is going to be with us there. Now, how refined color gets, I don't know. Or does it change into something else? I don't know. But I know for quite a few dimensions it exists. And that in the existence of it on those levels of spirit that we are in when we get there, we use it as part of our creation. So it would be very interesting if we could start using color here on the physical, in the third dimension, in a very positive and building way, and its most creative way that we can, and using it to develop our intuition, using it for communication, using it deliberately in projecting it to people, or to bringing something of color to somebody that it has a color in it that they need, and you may not be able to give it to them any other way other than in a physical form, kind of insinuating to their spirit that, here, why don't you try some yellow for a change? Because you're so closed, let's open you up a little bit. It would be very enriching to every spiritual person to really invest a little bit more in this understanding. So I don't know how available the book is online. I did not actually need to go and look it up. So I'm sorry I didn't do that for you. But the language of color is there's somebody else has used that title, by the way, for some other reason. I was kind of one time a couple of years ago, I did, and I thought, how dare they? I thought you couldn't do that, but I guess you can for a title, but their subject was not the same. So, but this is The Language of Color by Dorothee Mella. Oh, where is it? There it is. And I don't know if she has another book out. I don't remember whether she did a different edition with a different cover on it, but it should be by Dorothee Mella. And I think if you get the book and you start using it, you will find that it is very useful for many reasons. You don't have to give the test to somebody. You can use the information in the book very, very easily and creatively yourself. This is always meant to be creation. Open up your creative box and put, if you haven't been using color, put that in as one of your tools in the toolbox. Color has many reasons to be, and of course, healing is one of them. So when we want to heal, it is important that we get several tools together and combine them, and with knowledge, with some sort of understanding of what we're doing, of why these things are in place, and then use them in a way that will energize, lifting the energy within us to a higher level of frequency. If you can vibrate at a higher level more consistently in your life, you will be above the level of, this is my understanding from James Masbrook, you will be above the level of viruses and bacteria that operate at a very much lower frequency. So it is a way to heal yourself by understanding you're lifting your and elevating yourself into another level of frequency, so that when your frequency is there, you can overcome things a lot easier and a lot quicker. So this, I did test that out. And when I was going through some virus, I think, and it did lift me. It did help me a lot. I don't know that the miracle was mine. The miracle was that I tried it out and that it did help. And whether we get over something instantly will be entirely in the hands of God within you as to whether you've done all the work you need to do in order to have that miracle happen. A miracle is a natural phenomenon of the world, of the universe. You're meeting all the spiritual criteria that you are now above it. If you can do all of that work that gets above all of the lower things, then things happen naturally. And it seems like a miracle, but it's really fulfilling the law of the universe. So that's why the book, A Course in Miracles, says you can't expect a miracle every day, but you have to realize you have to hold yourself into a certain level of accountability before spirit, and in your thinking and your feeling and your behaviors and all that goes with it, to maintain that level of higher understanding of your highest values and structures, and behave there and don't come back. I mean, you don't drop down after that. It's important that we practice that every day. And in the practice, it becomes perfect. It really does. So I will recommend that we do that. And I guess now what I'd like to do is just do a little meditation based on color awareness, not necessarily the traditional color that we usually go through in meditation. So I'm going to stop the recording here, and hope that what I have presented has been of value to whomever gets to see this, and we have more information for you if you will come to ccwh.com, or please write to info@ccwh.com and we'll be able to connect with you. So